Hi everyone, this is Candace, and I'm here to talk to you about how to best support your English language learners. Have you ever been here? I know I have many times before. I find that my English language learners, or ELLs, tend to do this quite a bit. They smile and nod and act like they understand the lesson, and sometimes they really don't. So, our goals are to review the different levels of ELLs, discuss language domains, provide strategies for each level, discuss distinguishing language issues from other issues, emphasize building background knowledge, and display language strategies that make all the difference for our ELLs. Here are the levels. We start with entering or starting. This is when students aren't speaking English. Maybe they'll say a word here or there, but for the most part, they're not speaking. They may imitate single word responses, and the key word would be identify. They can identify a word if we say it's like, what is this? Oh, it's the sun. Okay, they'll show us the sun. What is that? It's a stapler. If they have that language, you'll be able to identify it. Maybe not say it. Emerging, on the other hand, they're repeating short phrases that are familiar, words in the classroom. You could expect a short response from them, but not much more than that. Then we move on to developing. These students are speaking, they're usually conversational. They have varying lengths of sentences. Their ability is really dependent on the topic. Usually they sound like they can speak more English and understand more English than they're able to in an academic environment. So we need to make sure that we're adding description. Our other levels are expanding, bridging, and reaching. And expanding, these students are using complex sentences and they're able to understand quite a bit. The only thing is they need context. They're starting to use specific and technical language. Specific language is just more precise. Technical language is academic. Our key word here is elaborating. These students need to be able to elaborate about a topic. Then we move on to bridging. They are nearly fluent. They use complex sentences. They need minimal support. They need to elaborate with specific and technical language. We're pushing them so that they could be academic students, sound completely native speakers. Reaching is it sounds like a native speaker. They're fluent. Even though they're considered fluent, they still might need background knowledge that they don't have. They come from a different place, so their background knowledge is just different. Here are the 4 domains of language. We have speaking and listening, writing, and reading. Speaking and listening go together. Speaking is what they produce. Listening is a little bit more passive. Writing and reading is the same way. Writing is what they produce. Reading is a little bit more passive. You'll find that students listen and read before they are able to speak and write. Now we get to the strategies. When students are in the entering stage, when they don't know how to speak English, some strategies that I find really work are matching games, place pictures for keywords on worksheets, provide flashcards with important concepts, pre-teach the lesson. This one-on-one attention is fabulous. It makes all the difference from a student feeling lost to a student feeling like they understand what's going on. Another fun one is finding a student mentor. If the student mentor speaks their language, that's even better. But if they don't, as long as the student is patient and wants to help them, that's fabulous. It makes a difference between the student feeling welcome and able to take some risks. Another thing is we build background knowledge through labeling experiences. In the emerging level, some strategies that I find that work usually are one-on-one or in small group is definitely pre-teaching the lesson, matching worksheets with visual. Short sentence stems. These students are expected to be able to produce a little bit of language. So if you start them off with language and provide them lots of context language through their textbooks or through worksheets or things they already know, they're able to produce something. Fill in the blank with familiar words or visual cues. Careful selection of partners. Someone who wants to help them would be fabulous. Build background knowledge through labeling experience. It's the same for them too. They're trying to build language. They have to take a lot of risks in order to do that. If we're putting them in a situation where they feel comfortable, they'll be able to produce a little bit more, maybe try their hand at speaking more, writing more. Now we get to the developing level. These students are able to speak and they're able to hold conversations. So we might not need the one-on-one attention as much anymore. Now it's small group and whole group. They'll be able to fill in the blank to responses. They can do multiple choice questions. If you want, you could start off with less choices and then build your way up to the same amount of choices as all the other students. Just make sure that the language is not too complicated for them. You could also do a book walkthrough, but for the entire class or even one-on-one or in a small group, so that students have language that they're already understand and connect to the pictures or visuals. Preview words and review words. This is really key in guided reading and any sort of reading, honestly. Sentence stems are great because it gives them an ability to speak more about whatever topic there is there. And they need a focus on vocabulary. So whenever you're speaking, oh, that's a very good word. Ooh, I love how this word describes this person. I'm going to write that down on a Post-it. This all helps these students to develop their language even more. Expanding. These students really are word collectors. They're trying to get as many words as possible. You can work with them in small group or whole group. They need word sorts. They need to build more background knowledge through visuals and experiences and also stories. And they can comprehend quite a bit, and they basically they sound fluent. Bridging. These students don't need as many supports as the other students, so everything should be in small group or whole group. We're still collecting words. We're doing word sorts because now we're deciding the difference between words. It's like, oh, does that smell? Does it stink? Does it have an aroma? All these words are really great to describe things and showing them that these words have a slight different meaning. Some might be more positive, some might be more negative. Another thing is the next level would be reaching. So you want to be intentional with their use of idioms so they can sound fluent and understand people when they say them. Elaborate on your sentence stems because these sentence stems, they need to be able to speak academically. And if you're still using basic sentence stems, it's not teaching them to do that. So instead of just putting, he learned blank, say, he learned blank when blank, giving them a little bit more to say. The last one is when you build background knowledge with them, you use visuals, stories, conversations now, and experience. Now we reaching. These students can speak English. They sound just like their peers. They don't really need strategies. They work in whole group. The biggest thing to just be cognizant of with these students is to enlist them in sharing their experiences because their experiences will be slightly different. And you could just build on their experiences through conversation, stories, visuals, and giving them an experience. Now, what do we do when our students aren't understanding something? We're wondering, is it a language issue or something else? Here's something just to help you understand if it's a language, a special ed issue, or just a background issue. Language issues usually get solved when using proper support. The issues are mostly in speaking and writing. And so when we're noticing a student is not meeting our goals, we have to start wondering, okay, could this be a special education issue? Well, I've noticed in my classroom, if a student is continuously not meeting the objectives with various supports, okay, that's usually a flag. Then I notice they don't retain language as easily. You have to repeat something a little more. They're not able to say something that we use every day in the classroom. They also struggle in their native language. So it would be a really good thing to find someone who can speak to them, who understands their language and could just ask them questions, see what they understand academically, but in their own language. The last one it could possibly is just a background issue. Maybe they appear off topic when you're showing them a visual. It might be they have just a different picture in their head. Or a different experience that's related to that picture. They also cannot produce a connection to the topic. That's probably because they don't have experience with it. They show signs of understanding in other areas. So it's not necessarily that they don't know something. It could just be that they just haven't experienced it and they need all that labeling and all that support behind them. Build background knowledge. This is so important. One cannot build anything substantial on a foundation that is not there. We enter their world in order to bring them into ours. So we need to get to know them. This is the fun part. We ask them about their lives. We laugh with them about funny pictures. I don't know, find some way to connect to the students so that when we want them to learn the different material we have for them, they want to learn it. They're connected to us in that way. The brain uses what we already have to wire new concepts. And so it's really important for us to establish a good foundation of things that they know and just expand on it. It's amazing the way the brain works. Okay, language starts with labeling. If there is no label, the child will create one according to what they know. They will not automatically label the way we expect them to label. For instance, when I went on a field trip with my students, we didn't see any animals because it was raining. We go inside, we see these bamboos, and we're all excited. We're telling the kids, look at the bamboos. And the bamboos start to do something that they're not supposed to do. The kids automatically were like, hey, the bamboos are fighting. Look, they're hitting each other. They're fighting. All of us, parents and teachers, we continued moving the children along, but we thought it was funny that these students created their own label for this. Here are some strategies that help all ELLs, and they'll help your other students as well. Display the objective. Put what they're going to learn on the board. If you want to make it a mystery, you could also cover it up and at some point during the lesson reveal it. You could also display the language objective. This is incredibly important, this objective, because it gives all the ELLs language that they can use in order to speak about what's going on in the classroom. Sometimes with this objective posted on the board, other students will just use it and it becomes a very formulaic response. We could try to prevent that by putting something a little bit more elaborate or giving them options. Draw students in with visuals. Visuals are so important. So if we have something that's interesting, like a funny meme, or we dress differently, or they have to try to figure out something with a visual, it makes all the difference for these students and for everyone else. It engages them. Another one is use visuals, auditory, and kinesthetic cues in each lesson. This will solidify the information that they're learning. What we could do with this is if you have a vocabulary word, have them draw a picture of what it is. Then afterwards have them say the picture of the vocabulary word and trace it with their finger. All these things together help the brain to retain the information that's learned. So let's assess what they know using different methods. If a student's having trouble with short answers, maybe we'll give them multiple choice. If a student's just struggling with all sorts of answers, we give them, talk to them, see what they're understanding. And this will help us to pinpoint exactly what's going on. The last strategy that really helps my classroom is turn and talk. When a student turns and talks with their neighbor about something academic, they're getting an answer, first of all, so they have words to say. They're no longer taking a complete risk by saying something off the wall. Another thing is it's a break from hearing my voice all the time. I definitely recommend to start a procedure where you have the kids turn and talk. Keep in mind, success breeds more success. Let's keep our ELLs successful. When we do that and keep that in mind, it helps us to know that, to keep pushing them in a positive way. They're already taking more risks than their native English-speaking peers each day. because they're wondering in their minds, like, oh, did I say this word right? Is someone going to laugh when I say this? Everything's a risk for them. So when we keep that in mind, we also have a little bit more compassion. If you want to know more information about all that I just spoke about English language learners, here are my references and some resources. You can go to the WIDA ELL Standards website, and it'll give you more information, precise information with charts showing what activities students could do at certain levels. Another one is SIAP. The SIAP website has definitely a lot of articles about instruction and about teaching English language learners. The last one is TESOL. TESOL has a lot of resources. The only thing is you have to pay for them. So if you really want to get involved there, there's a resource. Thank you for listening, and hope that this helps you with all your English language learners.